the simplest way to put it is the higher student athletes' grades are and the higher their test scores are, the more doors that's going to open up for them, right? I think when, oftentimes college coaches, they have several recruits to choose from when they're trying to fill a roster spot, right? They're not just recruiting one catcher, they're maybe recruiting 10 or 15 catchers. And a lot of times they're more likely to pick the one with the stronger grades, the stronger test scores, because they're less likely to be experiencing academic issues or being ineligible for that program. So having someone who can come in and as a coach, are going to take care of business in the classroom, be a good student, not risk their eligibility, not risk being unable to play for that program. That's going to be a big, sometimes deal breaker in terms of who a coach may go with. It's certainly important when it comes to scholarships as well, Danny. You sort of touched on it, but you talk about Division III schools, right? Academic programs. There's no athletic scholarship money available. So for student athletes who are trying to get some of the school paid for, the higher their grades are, the more that's going to open up. And as a D3 coach, you have the ability to maybe help that student athlete get a little bit more academic money, or even if you're a D1 or D2, and maybe stacking some scholarships. So from a scholarship standpoint, the academics can really be important. And again, for a coach, if it's easier for them to bring you onto their program and maybe offer you some academic money instead of giving you athletic money, which we know is very limited, that's going to be a huge plus for you as a coach, but also for you as a recruit.
Totally. I mean, when you talk about academics being a big part of my scholarship process, it's probably like 70% of my process. And if you just kind of consider what's out there in the NCAA or just scholarship level, there just aren't that many schools in total that are able to offer you a full ride scholarship. And a lot of these sports, they're breaking them up into little pieces to kind of have this big aggregate. Maybe they have fully funded, they got 10 full scholarships to give, but, they got a couple kids on 20%, a couple kids on 30%, maybe the best of the best. Those NCAA qualifiers are on a full ride. But, in the bigger breadth of schools out there, there's a tiny percentage of schools that are offering scholarship, and an even smaller amount of schools that are able to offer you a full ride or are fully funded. And typically that is top tier Division I programs in Power 5 conferences. So that academic piece, I think the best kept secret in college sports is that if you want to earn a scholarship to go to school, you need to do well in the classroom. So to kind of bring some color to that comment, when you talk about stacking scholarships, that was a tactic for me as a Division I coach at a program that was not fully funded. So we did not have the full breadth of scholarships that the NCAA allowed a swimming and diving program at the Division I level. So I had to compete with other Division I schools that did. Now, when I have an athlete that's looking at a school that, like UConn, for instance, that could offer them a fair amount of money, I have to figure out a way to get that kid some scholarship money that can counteract what some of the other schools are doing. The easiest way for me to do that is through grades, finding athletes that have good grades and good test scores. And in most cases, I was able to get an athlete way more scholarship money, merit money from the school, a tuition credit, than I was ever able to offer up from the swimming and diving side of things. So when I go to an athlete and say, hey, look, I know you're talking to a lot of these bigger D1 programs, but here's the deal about their scholarship numbers. You're not quite what they would be looking for a conference championship. You can come to my smaller Division I program, right? You can be a stud day one, break some school records, possibly, be in the mix for a conference championship. And because I have a good relationship with our financial aid department, I'm going to send over your transcripts and test scores and give you an estimate for what kind of tuition credit you may be looking. So, to kind of give some numbers on it, I would say anything above a 3.0 and above is going to be eligible for something like that. You'd start talking 3.3, 3.5. I was seeing athletes that were getting a 50% tuition credit, $60,000 commitment from the school over their 4 years. Athletes that are doing really well in the classroom, they're getting that full ride presidential scholarship where their tuition is covered. I mean, suddenly that program, that institution becomes really attractive for families when they could potentially walk away from college with a zero-sum balance at a still very competitive Division I program. So kind of, long story short here, I'm using a service like NCSA to identify and evaluate smart kids because I'm able to get them scholarship money. And then if I really like what they're doing athletically, I absolutely can add athletic scholarship to what they're doing and use that as a leverage point. But, so many reasons to be doing well in the classroom because like DK said early on, it just opens doors for you. If you want to go to school at Princeton, you want to play ball at Princeton or whatever, you got to be able to get into Princeton. And that's pretty much the bottom line for most college coaches.
So kids, listen to your parents, take care of business in the classroom. You'll help yourself with not having to pay student loans down the road. Potentially, all that's important. Hey, everyone. Thanks for watching. Click the logo to subscribe to our channel and check out all the other videos on our page for all things recruiting.